Introduction to the Qi and Blood Immortal River. In 2063, an extraterrestrial invasion war ignited the fighting spirit of the Yunxia people and also revealed the secrets of cultivating immortality within the planet. One of these unknown high school students, Yin Ping, accidentally became the master of a star and embarked on a journey of cultivating immortality and fighting against the invasion of powerful extraterrestrial civilizations. In the first year of the Teana era. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In 2063, Blue Star geologists confirmed that the legendary Teana civilization, which existed for over 2,000 years, was not a legend. Yunxia Kingdom found the last tribal relic of the Teana civilization in an underground pit in a southern province. 1,000 years ago, an earthquake sank the civilization here into the depths of the earth, and it later formed a lake that has been submerged to this day. In recent years, the Blue Star water resources have been depleted, and people have begun to develop this mysterious lake. Over the decades of continuously extracting lake water, the submerged areas of the lake have gradually surfaced, and a magnificent town has emerged deep in the mud. Although it has been thousands of years, a glimpse of civilization can still be seen. 200 years ago, the legend of the Teana civilization first appeared in the tomb of a mysterious knight in the West. This diary-style biography, written in Aden, is people's first impression of the Teana civilization. The Teana civilization has helped multiple civilizations on Blue Star achieve development and progress. Their figures have appeared in several ancient civilizations, but the difference is that most of their stories do not appear in a single category, only in the myths and legends of multiple civilizations. Sometimes they are gods who save lives, and sometimes heroes who save people from fire and water. However, upon closer examination of all the details, historians have summarized a pattern that these gods and humans with numerous titles share many similarities in appearance and image characteristics. From image to habit, from language family to skin color, there are astonishing similarities, and their whereabouts at the end of their stories are still a mystery. 200 years ago, diary-style biographies recorded the names and stories of many familiar people for the first time, collectively referred to as Teana. They all come from a mysterious planet called Teana. In the diary, the knight said, "When I first heard that the names of people and gods that I was familiar with originated from the same tribe, I almost made a sound that caught their attention. In my later listening, I gradually learned that Thank You, who is usually called a humanoid in front of us, actually loves to eat locusts with snake heads and dog legs wagging their tails in private. It turns out that you are not a Blue Star person." The knight was unfortunately injured in a duel between two people, and with a painful body, he hid in a cave filled with hot springs. While resting in a cave, he inexplicably broke into the private meeting space of two Teana people. One man and one woman spoke the language of humanity, and after the private meeting, they each swaggered out of the cave, calling themselves humans, and went to their respective worlds. Unfortunately, the knight later met one of his friends at a gathering, and he was extremely worried but also very happy. Years later, when he grew up to be the owner of an ancient castle, on his deathbed, he wrote this story as a memory he brought into the tomb, forever cherished. He never mentioned it to anyone because he didn't know how many people they really existed among us, but he knew that they must exist. Another thing that can be confirmed is that when eavesdropping on their conversation in the cave, they both talked about a common topic, which is that their lifespan is only 20 years left. Because in terms of Earth time, each Teana can only live for 150 years, and even if combined, it can only produce a third generation. If supported by the medicine of its parent planet, a single Teana can live for 300 years. Their medicine has already been used up, and this is their last time. And Blue Star, a production factory with the core technology of Teana medicine, is one of the few blue stars that had completely disappeared from the tribe located in the Eastern Great Power 2,000 years ago. They may still be the last two Teana, and must blend into the crowd to help themselves extend their lives with the power of humans. The discovery of the statue of Teana was in March of that year. Initially, People did not use Teana to calculate the year, but what made people determined was the mysterious strip-shaped spacecraft that appeared on the edge of the galaxy in June of that year. Now we call it spaceship. This year, astronomers of Blue Star still only regarded it as a long strip-shaped asteroid. No one knows that in many years to come, this elongated asteroid was actually Teana, and its appearance and the story of the gear shift of human destiny that followed were fully opened from 2063. Starting from this year, human worldview is no longer limited to a ball or spring, summer, autumn, and winter, but begins to think from the perspective of planets, embarking on a long journey of stepping into the Milky Way. Humans are no longer a small group of galaxies, but starting from this encounter, they embark on the birth of a complex group. Wake up, wake up, wake up quickly. Don't sleep, the teachers are here. In the classroom of the third year of high school in April, Yin Ping was sleeping soundly. Beside him, his desk mate Li Ying gave him an earbud to wake him up from his beautiful dream. In the dream, he was about to reach out for the fragrant chicken leg. My chicken legs. Chicken legs. In his drowsy eyes, he blurted out the lines from his dream, causing a classmate to laugh incessantly. Yin Ping. Stand outside the door for me. Chinese teacher Zhai Jiu blushed with anger at his careless appearance and said angrily. Oh. I'm telling you all, Teana has been proven to exist. What else are you learning? Be careful not to let the snake-headed dog bite you at night. Yin Ping stood up in frustration, although reluctant, still preparing to go out and punish the station. Get out. Chinese teacher Zhai Jiu shouted sternly, I got it, I have to scold even if I walk slowly. Let's accumulate some good words. Yin Ping muttered softly, hurry up and go, you. Li Ying, the desk mate, grabbed Yin Ping's clothes and urged him to grab it tightly. I know. Lao Zhai is such a stingy person. He didn't just attend class, and I didn't sleep during class, he muttered to himself, but this time he didn't say anything. Still cooperating, he walked out of the classroom and stood at the door. In the classroom, students began a lively Chinese class under the guidance of their teacher Zhai Jiu. You come to my office. After class, Zhai Jiu, the homeroom teacher, still called him to the office. I've told you so many times that I've discovered that aliens have nothing to do with whether you learn Chinese or not. Don't rely on your Chinese proficiency to not listen well after reading some books. If you write well and have good Chinese skills, you won't be able to get into a good university just like other subjects, said teacher Zhai with a bitter tongue. I'm going to fight aliens. What good university should I take? Yin Ping still looked immature. Don't make a fuss, aliens come to Blue Star to earn money, buy a house, marry a wife, and have children, to adapt to our order. The homeroom teacher still patiently said, you're right, you're right. I'll definitely not sleep next time. Alright, can I return my night's diary? I haven't finished my research yet, teacher Zhai. Yin Ping softened, because he had the teacher's handle in his hand. The knight's diary fully recorded the only story of Teana on the Blue Star, and it happened to be a month after Teana's civilization was confirmed to exist. Yin Ping seems to have found a way to pursue life and prepare what he originally read as a novel as evidence for research. Do some research, go ahead. The college entrance examination is only 2 months away. If you want to know more about the story, you can ask me 100 words at a time. Teacher Zhai is confident because he was also fascinated by this book in college and has read it countless times. If it weren't for being both extraterrestrial enthusiasts, it would be really difficult for them to have a common topic. First of all, why can Teana transform into a human form in front of humans, while we humans cannot? Yin Ping seized the opportunity. He knew that teacher Zhai could not provide him with the full text, and he also knew that teacher Zhai's research was much more in depth and thorough than him, because he had spent some research articles on Teana during his university years. Reading www.uukangshu.net is much better than a high school student's understanding. According to expert analysis, Teana had already arrived at the Blue Star before the legendary 2000 years ago. Their technology was more advanced than that of the Blue Star, but due to the cultivation of immature civilization, they did not adopt the method of extinction but instead adopted the method of support and assistance to help the development of human civilization. In order to adapt to human civilization, they studied a potion that could achieve self-transformation. After multiple mediation, they were able to achieve the integration of their own ethnic form and human form conversion. It's over. Hurry up and get out of here to study. I don't know about all of this. How could you say what you want to do with Teina? You really have a huge appetite. Zhai Jiu became proud and proud. Okay, I'll come back in a few days, it's only 2 months. I can wait, Yin Ping said, leaving behind teacher Zhai and a bunch of lesson plans. With the growth of population and malicious consumption of resources, the survival resources of Blue Star are extremely shrinking. The fragile ecological environment causes extreme weather every year in many countries. People must find new development paths before resources are completely depleted, and knowledge has become a core resource that countries compete for. Different people have different access to universities and disciplines based on their academic performance. In order to develop, some disciplines such as metaphysics, extraterrestrial civilization studies, and celestial mechanics have gradually become unpopular. The extraterrestrial civilization, which should have research value, has gradually faded out of the academic field. The Teana civilization began to enter the research field in this year, but in the folk, stories about them frequently appear, although, most of them are just hearsay. In the folk, enthusiasts like Yin Ping have become small experts in the Aina because they read more literary and semi-documentary works. No one would have predicted that these little experts would become a valuable resource in the days to come. Chapter 1. Mysterious Asteroids. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The hot summer has arrived, and in the classroom, Yin Ping, who excels in Chinese, is burying his head in studying hard. His homeroom teacher and Chinese teacher, Zhai Jiu, promised him that as long as the college entrance examination passes smoothly and exceeds 500, he will tell him all the details he knows about the Teina civilization. It is said that this will take a complete 5-day time. The major news in the teacher's office was suddenly announced, and Yin Ping seemed to have changed his personality. He began to practice questions every day without saying a word. The free-spirited young man from April suddenly disappeared and became serious. He hung his head every day, not to get into his ideal university, but just to know the true story of the latest extraterrestrial civilization discovered at the bottom of a lake in a southern province. Although most of their stories have been forgotten, and most of the rumors circulating in the community are mostly legends, because extraterrestrial civilizations are no longer studied as a separate discipline, and records of the Tetsuna civilization have gradually become a topic of discussion for the leisure of ordinary people. But for an 18-year-old high school student, every detail of this will be the most important thing he cannot miss. Yin Ping, are you crazy? With so many dark circles under your eyes, you're still studying. At 11 o'clock at night, Li Ying, his desk mate, prepared to come over and light up the night. He saw that Yin Ping, who had not gone out to relax after self-study, was still studying hard, but his condition was already unsatisfactory. He, you mind me. Yin Ping ignored his desk mate's concern and continued his studies. Although his desk mate thought he was a cute little girl with a graceful figure, he had already gone crazy a few months ago. But now, there is nothing that can arouse his interest more than knowing about Teina civilization. Really, I don't understand what you're thinking. Li Ying shook her head and sat next to him busy. At this moment, for Yin Ping, beautiful women are no longer popular. By around 11:40, Yin Ping had exhausted all his energy and lay on his desk, snoring and falling asleep. I'll just say it. I won't listen. Li Ying muttered a few words before continuing to study. At night, crickets came from outside the window, and the long-lost tranquility made the classroom look particularly beautiful. When Yin Ping opened his eyes again, it was already 6 o'clock the next day, and across from him, the graceful female desk mate was breathing softly. She was worried that Yin Ping would be in danger in the classroom alone at night, so she slept at the same table as him all night. "You're awake." Upon hearing Yin Ping's movements, Li Ying slowly moved her body and stood up from the desk, with wrinkles on her face that appeared on her clothes. At this moment, the sun has risen from the sky, emitting a yellow light that reflects above the classroom. From Yin Ping's perspective, Li Ying is surrounded by yellow light reflected by the sunlight, which is so beautiful. Especially under the reflection of sunlight, the visual contrast formed by the thin and small body inside the spacious clothes suddenly reminded him, "Why didn't I find you so beautiful in my daily life? Hey, what are you doing? Staring straight at me." Seeing Yin Ping staring at him like a fool, Li Ying frowned and shouted loudly, "Nothing. Nothing." Yin Ping felt guilty as a thief, but his shameless personality could not have given his desk mate the upper hand in terms of aura for too long. He quickly changed his tone and said, "Come on, let's hook up and say goodbye." Then, he extended his powerful right hand, raised his little finger, and assumed the posture of a kindergarten child pulling a hook. "Clam. Are you okay?" Li Ying looked surprised. "I'm doing very well, hurry up, pull the hook and bow." Yin Ping successfully diverted Li Ying's attention. "Wait, why do you have to bow down? I don't understand. Can you explain it to me?" Li Ying looked puzzled. "Take a look, we are already brothers sleeping at the same table. We have to bow down and confirm our relationship. From now on, your business will be my business. If you have any difficulties, I will definitely help. After all, this desk witnesses our pure friendship. Maybe there was still your saliva last night." This was originally a beautiful thing, but the last sentence made Li Ying's serious expression suddenly happy. "Puff, you're just drooling while sleeping." Li Ying still expressed dissatisfaction. "No, I farted while sleeping," Yin Ping added. Ouch, Li Ying couldn't bear it anymore. Seeing the girl make a gesture of beating him, Yin Ping ran away. In the hallway, the scene of him running away from her chasing him appeared, and the two of them chased each other to the cafeteria to start breakfast for the day. And on this day, with the last 5 days left until the college entrance examination, most students have already started to let themselves go. Only Yin Ping is still studying hard, because he knows that his biased subjects are too serious, and a slight mistake can lead to a drop of 500 points. On the last day of the college entrance examination, Yin Ping went home to visit his parents, or more precisely, to replenish his ammunition. Because his living expenses were exhausted the day before the college entrance examination. Can you save dim sum? It's the last few days, and you still come back to ask for money. His father swore with a cigarette in his mouth. Yin Ping, who grew up in a single-parent family, has long been accustomed to his father's fragmented thoughts. Every time he comes home, he doesn't have much words. He knows that if he doesn't work hard, he will be the same as his father in the slums, and will not attend in his life. His mother left the family when he was just 1 year old, leaving behind a messy and weak father. It can be responsibly said that Yin Ping is the first student in this impoverished neighborhood who is expected to be admitted to university with high school grades. In this small street where more than 30 households live in poverty, Yin Ping's father is the most proud parent of this street. However, every family has their own difficult lessons to read. Yin Ping's father is a very rough man who works at the steel plant until late every day before returning home. For Yin Ping, his management is also extensive. Since childhood, Yin Ping has developed a free and carefree personality. Fortunately, his Chinese language is particularly outstanding, and his ability in writing is different from that of ordinary people. His Chinese language, which he does not learn much, can basically rank at the top of the exam, which is closely related to his love for studying the Teana civilization. One night, while hiding in the house reading a small book, my father discovered it. He thought he would be punished severely, but he didn't expect that although he couldn't understand it, his father said, being able to read is a good thing. Our family probably depends on you in the future. So, sometimes, Yin Ping is still very grateful for his father's support and understanding. However, both of them are naturally rebellious beings who are unwilling to admit in their hearts that the other person is good to them. Every time we meet, my father always mutters incessantly, and every time we meet, Yin Ping always remains silent. But Zhou Yu covered the yellow hat, willing to fight and willing to suffer. Every time, after his father's fragmented thoughts, he would still give Yin Ping living expenses beyond the planned amount, and every time Yin Ping received them, he would respectfully refund them to his father. You stinky kid, I love you and you don't want it. Yin Ping had to pay for his living expenses. He closed the door and went down to the second floor. His father noticed that he had given him an extra 300 yuan, and Yin Ping put it on the TV. He opened the window and cursed at Yin Ping walking on the road. You should keep it for me to buy medicine for you when you're old, and I can save a little bit later. My son is still a son, always speaking so openly, stimulating his father. You bastard, don't know how to say good to me. Father scolded. Don't use foul language to curse me. I'm your son, cursing me is equivalent to cursing yourself. Yin Ping countered, my grass. My father was about to curse out the words that came later. After thinking for a moment, it seemed like this kid was making a lot of sense. Then, he closed his mouth and didn't say what came later. Give me a good test. My investment is not easy. He still exuded a loving father's side. Got it, Dad, wait for good news from me. Yin Ping said seriously, okay. Father looked at Yin Ping's back as he turned around, with a hint of redness in his eyes. On TV, a sudden news was being broadcasted at the moment. According to our news, astronomers have recently observed a long asteroid in a blank area near the planet Hongwang. Unlike previous spherical asteroids, this long asteroid seems to have a specific orbit and is heading towards the direction of the blue star. Based on its current trajectory and speed, experts predict that it is expected to be visible to the naked eye by the end of this month. Experts suggest that astronomy enthusiasts can purchase high-definition observation equipment for observation. Regarding whether this asteroid poses a threat to blue stars, astronomer Morris answered. From its appearance, this is a natural celestial body composed of rocks and some hydrogen and oxygen elements. Its movement is irregular and irregular. Based on the data we have, this asteroid is not significantly different from the spherical objects we traditionally know. Based on our experience, it should be an exoplanet suddenly captured on the outskirts of our stellar system. Due to its own mass issue, it is being absorbed by stars. Therefore, there is no need to worry, just treat it as a comet. In this era, these so-called astronomers on television seem to have become very imprecise in their knowledge concepts, and at first glance, they have already revealed loopholes. So, do we still have to give it a name? Asked the TV interviewer. If we have to give it a name, isn't it a noisy alien civilization that used to exist recently? Of course, I disagree, even though a country claims to have dug up a site and is currently researching it. I think this is an eye-catching move. Since we like it so much, let's call the name of this asteroid Teana. Astronomer Morik's performance in the camera is no different from that of a drunken man. Damn it, choosing a name so casually, and besides, you didn't make it to TV for two tales. Yin Ping's father cursed as he watched the disappointing interview with the money left by his son. Experts nowadays, it's so casual. If you had known to call me by my name, it wouldn't have been too much. It's the same name as the alien comic book my son saw when he was a child. It's boring, bah. A mouthful of saliva stuck to the TV screen. Damn it. Yin Ping's father immediately removed a piece of toilet paper and cherished wiping the TV screen. When Yin Ping discovered this valuable news again, it was already the day when he returned home for the college entrance examination. Chapter 2. Mysterious Tailbone. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The hot summer is still the most unbearable climate for the college entrance examination. Regardless of the era, the exam is always held at the most frustrating time, testing everyone's endurance and perseverance. The weather is refreshing and the sun is shining brightly. A large group of parents who are looking forward to their children's success are wearing cheongsam and waiting at the school gate early, watching their dolls rush into the exam room, hoping that everyone can win. Among these joyful, sincere, and enthusiastic parent teams, there is absolutely no parent like Yin Ping. At this moment, Yin Ping's father is working naked in the factory, while his mother has already settled in a cemetery that they rarely go to themselves. Why are you feeling down? Someone knocked on Yin Ping's forehead behind him, and then walked over to talk to him. No, buddy, are you okay? Why do you dress like a parent? Looking sideways, it was Li Ying, who was standing in front of Yin Ping wearing a sky blue slim-fitting qipao. No way, don't I wear a qipao just to wish us a successful start, buddy? Li Ying was very righteous. A few days ago, even before the two of them even had a chance, she treated herself as a close friend of Yin Ping's life and death. How about it, look good? Li Ying turned her body, allowing Yin Ping to see the perfect figure under the tight qipao more clearly. Go on, look good, let's get into the exam well. Although Li Ying's words were perfunctory, this behavior made Yin Ping, who had not felt the warmth of the world for a long time, very happy in his heart. This usually quiet desk mate, at this moment, is the person who knows him the best. Hey! Seeing Li Ying walking forward a bit angry, Yin Ping stopped her. What are you doing? Li Ying turned back and crossed her waist, feeling a little puffed up. Give me your hand, Yin Ping said, what are you doing? Li Ying continued to be angry and puzzled. Last time we didn't pull a hook, how can we be considered a bowman without a hook? Yin Ping expressed acceptance in his words. No one wants to give you a thumbs up. If you don't do well in the exam, don't try to give me a thumbs up. Fortunately, I wish you a successful start, you heartless person. She said the harshest words, but a smile rose from the corner of her mouth, and Li Ying expressed forgiveness. Okay, I'll make sure of this hook. Yin Ping was full of confidence. Let's wait and see, the exam is coming. Li Ying happily ran forward and started to enter the classroom. Unfortunately, they were not in the same exam room due to different student numbers. This actually allows Yin Ping to answer questions with peace of mind, without any restrictions. Time passed by minute by second, and the classroom was so tense that only the sound of classmates writing with their pens could be heard. Outside the classroom, there are signal frequency shutters and various electronic wave frequency jammers. Although Blue Star's resources are starting to run out at this moment, the development of equipment for preventing cheating in exams has reached the extreme. Once, someone developed various tools such as invisible earphones, screen display glasses, sensing shirts, and even tactile underwear to provide the possibility of cheating. However, all cheating tools must rely on knowing the content of the exam papers in the examination room to accurately determine the answer. This has made various media mainly transmitted through satellite signals, data signals, and long and short wave signals the best way to report information. However, once the signal center is completely cut off, even the most advanced technology enters the classroom is empty talk. Everyone can only win by relying on their strength. This is also the ultimate path after multiple eras. The classroom was tense and orderly, while the outside was bustling with activity. Only Yin Ping experienced everything with a calm mind. Others were sweating profusely, their hearts racing and biting their pens, thinking about the answers. However, he pretended to be calm and leisurely, walking with ease. This was his most skilled Chinese language, and every question seemed to be tailored for him. 40 minutes later, he calmly raised his hand to ask the teacher if he could submit the paper, causing everyone to be stunned. We still have to wait for an hour before we can submit the paper. As usual, the teacher made a refusal, but inside, he was thinking. What an arrogant child, He only needs to submit the paper in 40 minutes, and his grades must be so poor that he has no friends. So, the invigilator took note of the boy sitting in the corner, who was unkempt. The first exam defined him as the worst boy in the class. In all the following exams, they found that this guy had already submitted his papers early for the first Chinese exam, and had spent all his time sitting in every subsequent exam. They even felt that he didn't have enough time until the last exam, and the invigilators in the classroom were thinking that this guy was a paper tiger who could only pretend to be in 3 seconds. So his Chinese must be the worst in the college entrance examination, otherwise why would he shout to submit his paper in 40 minutes? However, their judgment was completely opposite to what we predicted. At the moment of the release of the grades, Yin Ping was the only Chinese language player in the entire grade with a full score. All questions are correct, and the composition is neat, logically clear, and completely a model essay. When all the subjects were added up, his score surprisingly reached 556. This has never happened in any previous exam. Are you cheating, kid? Class teacher Zhai Jiu looked at Yin Ping's incredible college entrance exam results, both surprised and surprised. Oh, I can fully understand your secret, otherwise all my efforts during this period will be in vain. Yin Ping showed unprecedented confidence in front of the homeroom teacher, not proud of his excellent grades. Taking this score was just to discover an unverified legend. So, is that why you took this score, kid? Zhai Jiu looked incredulous. So what's wrong? In order to get into a good university and find a good job, get married and have children. Yin Ping said in the usual tone of Zhai Jiu, unreasonable, come with me. Zhai Jiu shook his head and gestured for him to follow him. In the teacher's office, Zhai Jiu threw a thick file bag at Yin Ping and said, take it, don't bother me. Fill out the volunteer form for me, and I'll give you the remaining 2/3. What? This kind of thing still requires installment payments. Yin Ping asked in reverse, his thirst for knowledge reaching his throat. If I cannot guarantee that you will receive the admission letter of the school I want to go to in full, all my efforts will be in vain, said Zhai Jiu. If I don't get the complete information on the analysis of that civilization, all my nights will be in vain. Yin Ping also looked at him with a worried expression on his face. The remaining part needs to be explained orally. You should first read through these materials and fill out your preferences before proceeding. Zhai Jiu persisted, okay, I'll come find you after filling out my preferences, Yin Ping said. Teacher Zhai never makes compromises. He made up his mind and couldn't bring back even a few cows, so he didn't argue unnecessarily. Holding a file bag, he walked out satisfied. Along the way, when encountering Li Ying, he instantly lost interest and went to the classroom on his own. The classroom was filled with joy, sorrow, and sweat, and everyone opened their file bag to start reading. Basically, most of the content in the file bag is related to various records and assumptions about the Teana civilization that Yin Ping only knows, but Zhai Jiu added his own thinking and judgment to these assumptions. Hey, where's the agreed hook? The alien who only cares about you, doesn't he care about me? Li Ying chased into the quiet classroom, asking. Can you let me finish reading it? Yin Ping frowned. No. I didn't do well in the exam, I won't leave if this hook doesn't pull me. Li Ying began to be reluctant. Sister, isn't 548 considered good on the exam? Not really. After speaking, Li Ying reached out his hand and waited for Yin Ping's response. Well, today's hook doesn't seem to let me continue. Yin Ping helplessly reached out his hand and pulled up the hook. I've agreed. From now on, we will truly be brothers. No matter where we are, no matter what difficulties we encounter, we must take care of each other. Yin Ping solemnly stated that he was not hesitant about the matter of joining forces. Li Ying was satisfied with what was necessary and successfully pulled the hook. Alright, you see for yourself. I'm going out to play with my classmates, good buddy. Li Ying shook her skirt and walked out the door, looking happy. It's really nerve-wracking, but the way the hook looks really like a child. Looking at Li Ying's distant back, Yin Ping was speechless and delighted. Oh, by the way, Haizhou University has opened a new major in extraterrestrial civilization research this year, which is currently the only major in China that studies extraterrestrial civilization. I think you can sign up. Li Ying had already walked out of the classroom and turned back to tell him the news. You're really a good buddy. Yin Ping was overjoyed and immediately filled out his application on his phone, refusing to accept transfers. Hee hee, Li Ying's laughter echoed in the hallway, but the person had already disappeared without a trace. Yin Ping continued to open his file bag and a yellowed file that he had never seen before appeared in front of him. In 2037, the Yunxia people discovered a huge space inside a karst cave, consisting of an independent ecological maintenance system with an air isolation layer on the periphery. From a distance, it looked like a thin layer of shallow fog. After multiple attempts, no one was able to safely enter this mysterious space through the isolation layer. Even wearing multiple layers of high-tech protective clothing can be compressed into thin sheets within half a meter of entering the isolation layer. People have tried using robots, but the effect is no different from the previous one. Until Professor Zhu Dingyi removed all the equipment and metal objects from his body, and attempted with a dying mentality, he succeeded. So, others followed suit, and all those who tried were instantly crushed into thin pieces of meat at the isolation layer. Zhu Dingyi entered the space for about 8 hours before slowly exiting. Faced with inquiries from the investigation team, he remained silent and refused to disclose any information about the mysterious space. People have conducted various experiments and studies on him, only to find that his only difference from ordinary people is the protrusion of the coccyx, and people suspect that he is a modified person of Teana. Until the last moment of Zhu Dingyi's life, he did not reveal any words or phrases about this mysterious ecosystem. Seeing this, Yin Ping's body trembled inexplicably because he himself had a unique coccyx. My mom, I wouldn't have been caught running in formalin for research, would I? He touched his protruding coccyx, feeling a tingling sensation in his heart. He thought for a moment and then realized that when he was young, his father told him that he was just an exception because both his father and mother had normal coccyx. He also read relevant books and told him that this was just a human atavism, and that it would not have any impact. He did not tell anyone except his father that his coccyx would protrude in part. It should just be a coincidence, he comforted himself. Brother. A soft voice came from behind, causing Yin Ping's body to tremble. Do you have to scare me in an empty classroom? Li Ying sneaked in through the back door. While Yin Ping was reading the material most seriously, he suddenly pronounced it, startling him and cursing. Slightly, I just wanted to ask you, we're planning to go to Dongshan Island to play this weekend. Are you going? I will definitely go. It's not easy to have the opportunity. Okay, brother, you don't have to worry about anything. I'll cover the cost, and you're only responsible for treating me to a slow meal. What do you mean? Do you look down on people? Although it was Li Ying's goodwill and he knew he was short of money, Yin Ping still didn't want to eat soft rice. Brother, you're overthinking it because we have to carry a bunch of camping materials halfway up the mountain. You're the only man among the 4 of us, and also the only laborer. So when we all add up, we'll split the cost of the materials. You just need to treat us to lunch on the mountain, Li Ying said, half comforting and half dissuading. That's all for it, he thought carefully. The 3 of them, namely Li Ying and her 2 sisters, were indeed weak women. Since they had given him a step, if he didn't go down the slope, he would be too disrespectful. Okay, I'll just treat it as helping little Raw. Okay, Friday morning at 10 o'clock, we'll depart on time. Okay. So, an interesting trip and unpredictable accident quietly arrived at the same time. This day is June 21st, Tuesday, and it is only the last 4 days before the first attack launched by the Teana spacecraft on the Blue Star. Chapter 3. Advent. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The breeze was calm and the sun was just right. When the ferry on Dongshan Island was halfway away, Yin Ping and the three sisters of the Li family were blowing the sea breeze to feel the moisture from nature. A huge blue whale suddenly passed under the hull, then flapped its tail heavily on the sea, splashed a piece of barnacle on its body, and left. Behind him, more than a dozen small blue whales swam forward with its figure, and dolphins followed closely behind, making crisp sounds and competing to cross the sea. Strange, no blue whale has ever appeared in this sea area. The captain rubbed his head and muttered to himself. Dongshan Island is about 60 kilometers away from this city and is an island under development. The most famous island is the sunrise seen every morning. The island is composed of small hills of different sizes, each with a sloping structure. There is a large lawn halfway up the central island, and there are currently more than 10 households living here. They are the indigenous people of the island and also the current tourism developers of the island. Disembarking from the ship and boarding the island, Yin Ping trembled and carried various bags along with the girls as they climbed a small slope of about 35 degrees, gradually climbing up the ridge. The sun rises 3 times, and the scorching sun shows no mercy on these young people. Oh, I can't walk anymore. It's been a long time since I climbed the mountain, it's really tiring. Li Ying, wearing a blue and white sailor suit, sat on a recliner by the roadside and came to lie down with Guyu. Sister, let's go now. Brother Yin Ping has left us far behind with his things on his back, said younger sister Li Susu. Yeah, hurry up, let someone else take all the things. It's not good that we're still behind. Sister Li Suhua added out of breath. Looking at Yin Ping, who was charging upwards with enthusiasm, Li Ying felt to herself that this guy must have burned a boiler in his body, with endless energy. Let's go, you two guys with your elbows turning outwards. She got up from the recliner and started climbing the mountain again, which seemed a bit difficult to her and had some extra strength to Yin Ping. When we arrived at the top of the mountain, it was noon, and everyone had a clear division of labor. Yin Ping set up a tent, and sisters were responsible for buying picnic food for lunch. Everything was so quiet and peaceful. 10 hours before this, on the outskirts of Blue Star, an asteroid known as Teana by experts began to slowly slow down and stopped at the position of the 5th celestial satellite of Blue Star from the inside out. The research department of Yunxia discovered this behavior and began issuing warnings to senior officials within the country. And dispatched their own space station in the near-Earth orbit of Blue Star to form a 3-person search team to pilot the orbital module towards Teana. Report to the base that we are about to arrive at the Ningyi Resource Station, the first natural celestial satellite. Orbiter pilot Yilin led 2 team members to rush to the Ningyi Star Natural Supply Station. This is the only resource station of Blue Star Cloud Xiaogua on the first natural celestial satellite. After years of development, 3 of the 5 natural celestial satellites surrounding Blue Star have established resource stations in 5 countries, including Yunxia. They develop satellite mineral resources and conduct space research with certain technological content. However, due to the limited strength in the technical field, they have not made much progress in other fields except for developing satellite mineral resources. Blue Star is a beautiful planet that has been nurtured and developed by nature for billions of years. Currently, 5 natural celestial satellites, including Ningyi Star, have formed around Blue Star, and there are no other asteroids around it. The first satellite, Ningyi Star, has a mass of 1/30th that of a blue star. The second satellite, Liangxing, has a mass less than 1/100th of that of Blue Star. The third satellite, Hengyi Star, has a mass of 150 times that of a blue star. The fourth satellite, Linlanxing, has a mass of 160 times that of Blue Star. The fifth star, River Star, has a mass of 75 times that of a blue star. Except for the second satellite Liangxing, most of which are composed of useless minerals, the other satellites are high-energy mineral celestial bodies, making them a good place for the 5 major blue star countries to compete for the establishment of resource stations. Irene, switch to combat armor and drive the USS Starship to carry out the mission. The command from the space station base to the ground base was sent to the Irene team in the form of an urgent telegram before they were about to depart. What? Isn't it just an asteroid? Why are you still using the newly developed combat equipment to carry out exploration missions? Yilin asked in confusion. Don't be too talkative. Satellite monitoring data shows that the docking speed and position of the Teana asteroid have changed from an irregular pattern to a regular pattern. That is to say, it may not be a natural celestial body, and entering our galaxy is not naturally captured by stars. Everything depends on your exploration footage. Upon hearing this, Eileen was impressed. She has never performed a space semi-combat mission. So far, none of the outer space crew members from all countries of Blue Star have had similar experiences. It's just possible. You can also test the effectiveness of the equipment. The space station base sent a new comforting message, fearing that Yilin might have concerns. It shouldn't be that scary. I'll change my equipment immediately, and you can also ask the ground base to confirm again. There may be an issue with the data information. Yilin insisted on her judgment. Well, it's also possible that everything is working properly at the Lanyagua mining station on Star River. The monitoring data they provide is realistic, and there is no abnormal behavior on the Teana asteroid. However, the data provided by Lanyagua is unreliable. They often hold core data and do not share it themselves. Therefore, for safety reasons, it is recommended that you use the latest combat equipment to visit. The space station conducted its own analysis. Okay. Yilin piloted the new combat equipment, the starting point, and began to embark on a mission to explore the Star River. What a delicious lunch! Yin Ping and the three sisters of the Li family were blowing the sea breeze and basking in the sun. After a full meal, they rubbed their stomachs to express their happiness. So, this is our first trip after the college entrance examination. Yin Ping lay on the soft lawn and said to Li Ying, "Yeah, the pressure is a bit less now. I don't know if my college life will also be so suffocating." Li Ying is not as happy and joyful as Yin Ping, but rather full of confusion about the future. Her two younger sisters were chasing each other on the lawn, flying kites happily. "I probably don't know, because I chose the major I like. After all, what I love is the best." Yin Ping's words revealed his longing for university, without the previous confusion and idleness. "I knew you had chosen the study of extraterrestrial civilizations." Li Ying was not surprised. "I still have to thank you, my brother. If it weren't for you providing me with information, I wouldn't have been as happy as I am now. Come on, let my brother give you a toast first." With that, Yin Ping picked up a can of beer and opened it to clink a glass with Li Ying. "Then you must not have known that I was about to become an alumnus, ha ha ha." Li Ying had already determined that Yin Ping would choose, so when filling out his application, he chose the archaeology major at Haizhou University. The two of them chose completely different directions, but they could often meet together. "Okay, even if we say we're brothers, we'll have to be bored every day." Yin Ping felt very happy. "That's necessary." Li Ying followed suit. They lay on the green lawn, watching the clouds roll and stretch together. In no time, Li Ying fell asleep under the influence of alcohol, leaving him alone quietly gazing at the sky. At this moment, the sunlight from the stars shines on Hengyi and Xinghe, and the two satellites present different sizes of brightness in the sky due to their different sizes. Yin Ping quietly stared at these two celestial satellites, with a hint of thought rising in his heart. If only he could take a walk in the sky at some point. As he was pondering, a dazzling light flashed over one of the planets. He nervously rubbed his eyes, wanting to confirm if he had misread. "Is it so possible?" he muttered loudly, expressing an incredible emotion. Continuing to rub his eyes, he confirmed again that there was a beam of light passing over Star River, feeling like the planet was undergoing minor surgery. After flashing the beam 4 times in a row, he never saw the scene above Star River again. Something's wrong. Although I don't know what happened on Xinghe Star, my intuition told Yin Ping that things are definitely not that simple. He opened his phone and attempted to search for relevant information to understand the specific situation, but found no gains. However, in the process of collecting information, he did discover the missing information about the visit of the exoplanet Teana the day before the college entrance examination. This information, apart from reporting a silly expert naming in TV interviews, had no other content and was overwhelmed by a massive amount of information. Because people pay less attention to extraterrestrial civilizations, there is no possibility for journalists to continue reporting on the next destination and story of this asteroid. At the same time, after more than 10 hours of navigation, the Yilin team has arrived at Lin Lanxing. As they were about to continue, they encountered a shocking scene. Star River Star raised more than a dozen typical blue-striped flag-style spacecraft from Lanya, heading towards the nearby Teana asteroid. In no time, more than a dozen Lanya spacecraft were locked by the Teana asteroid, which looked like a long rocky planet. Before the spacecraft could react, they were all shot dead in an instant, leaving only a fragment of space floating in the air. Then, the asteroid Teana opened more than 10 small openings and flew dozens of spacecraft in the air to form a larger spacecraft and run toward Star River. They led the team through the porthole, and although it was far away, through high-power telescopes, they could still clearly see that in the ground foundation of Star River, countless Lanya spacecraft took off one after another and ran towards the Teana spacecraft. Soon, beams of light began to spread out among each other. Alright, this Lanya country has developed so many space equipment on Star River and has such combat power. They say they are so shameless for peace every day on Blue Star, Irene scolded, but she was even more surprised by the powerful interior beneath the surface of the asteroid, and she confirmed for the first time that the asteroid is not an asteroid, but a giant space warship. This will be a great pressure for Blue Star. Because in terms of Blue Star's existing technology and combat capabilities, if Teana directly invades Blue Star and Blue Star uses global strength to resist, it would be like shaking a big tree with a weak tail, and it would be impossible. Call headquarters, confirm, Teana is a giant space battleship. Please prepare in advance. Currently, there are several huge aerial combat bases in Lanya Kingdom on Star River, and the fighter jets have taken off and are in contact with Teana. During Irene's report, the Teana battleship quickly ended the battle with a crushing force and within a few minutes, launched a beam attack on the Lanya Kingdom base on Star River, only 4 times, let the space base disappear from Star River. Seeing such combat power, Yilin quickly turned the bow of the ship and ran towards Ningxi Yunxia base. And the people of Blue Star are currently unaware of the above news. Teana, really, has come. Chapter 4 appears. You are listening at novelfull.audio. On the rapid return journey of the Eileen team, they saw from the stern of the ship that all the lights of Lanya's bases on Star River had been extinguished. Lanya's only proud secret aerial unit vanished in its first contact with the Teana civilization. This is not only a loss for the Lanya family, but also a heavy reminder to all developing countries of Blue Star. If the Typhoon spacecraft is willing, in almost less than a day, it can bypass the 5 major satellites and stay above the Blue Star, forming a threat. What should we do? The latest news is that more than a dozen days ago, people suddenly entered the asteroid Teana in the Blue Star solar system, which is an ally of the Blue Star Cloud Kingdom. After arriving on Star River, they quickly dispatched a fleet to eliminate the secret aerial forces of the Blue Star Kingdom, and will join forces with the Cloud Kingdom to oppress all countries of the Blue Star. A reminder message was pushed to Yin Ping's phone through an unofficial promotional account by Mo Sheng. Lan Yagua took the initiative and broke down his own army. Now, he wants the villains to report first and directly focuses the global attention on Yunxia. Over the years, they have supported many media outlets in various countries, and this time it can finally come in handy. For a moment, a wave of hostility towards Yunxia was triggered within the Blue Star. Subsequently, multiple official accounts of Yunxia Kingdom released a video in which numerous fighter jets from the secret sky base of Lanya Kingdom on Star River Star took off in 2 batches to engage in a fierce battle with Teana. The host of the video condemned Lanya Kingdom's unauthorized development of space fighter jets and their involvement in combat, and pointed out that this was the only opportunity for humans to communicate with extraterrestrial civilizations, which was shattered by Lanya Kingdom's overconfident military actions. He called on everyone not to believe Lanya Kingdom's words and called on all countries of Lanya to unite and resist the invasion of the Ina civilization. For a while, 2 factions formed within Blue Star among multiple countries. One believed in the opinions of Lanya Kingdom, and most weak countries chose to stand with Yunxia Kingdom to form a coalition to resist the invasion of external civilizations. Yin Ping, who was still resting on the lawn, saw a vast amount of information in just an hour, making him unsure of which judgment to believe for a moment. However, soon, all negative news about Yunxia Kingdom quickly turned the tide and became a wave of support, as people clearly realized that what everyone should do now is to reach a consensus, not to create internal friction. At the same time, Yunxia Kingdom released a video of all the secret aerial military bases of Lanya Kingdom on Star River being destroyed by the Teana civilization, which was captured by the Yilin team. Lan Yagua never imagined that his secret behavior had been filmed and spread globally. In just an hour, Lan Yagua's credibility was shattered and he became a despised existence. According to data released by the Yunxia National Space Administration, the Teana spacecraft did not continue to advance, but instead dispatched fighter jets to gradually advance through the remaining 4 satellites of Blue Star. 3 hours later, their flight formation is about to arrive at Hengyi Star, where there is a joint resource development station of Yin Fan, Sulit, and Australia, New Zealand, and Weiss. It is a super-large resource development station with no military counterattack capability. Please all residents and tourists on the island quickly return to the shore, do not stay, do not stay. Yin Ping, who was analyzing various information resources, suddenly heard the coastal police come ashore to mobilize, which startled Li Ying from his confusion. What's going on? How could there be a coast guard? Li Ying didn't know and went inside. Something big is going on. Teana is really here. Yin Ping said calmly and got up to pack his bags. Te pressed that. Alien. Are you sleeping soundly? How could it be? Li Ying looked incredulous. There should be a lot of information on your phone, hurry up and read it. Yin Ping calmly said. In just an hour, such a massive amount of information suddenly arrived, making this arrogant young man calm down a lot. His studies, his family, his classmates, all these issues will become a pile of unimaginable information. Didi. The phone rang, and Li Ying's parents were waiting on the shore, notifying her to quickly lead her sisters home. Almost at the same time, Yin Ping's father called, giving the same instructions. The group hurriedly disembarked from the island and boarded the ship to return. After landing, Li Ying's parents quickly picked up the 3 children and brought them home. Strangely, while people were waiting for 3 hours, the Teana civilization attacked the resource development station of Hengyi Star. However, the Teana flying fleet completely ignored their existence, leaving only 2 spacecraft to destroy the power station and leave immediately, leaving the personnel of the 3 Kingdoms development station to fend for themselves. When arriving at the Ningyi Nebula Xiagua Resource Development Station, a flight formation monitoring mode was adopted and no progress was made. What are they waiting for? Meanwhile, Yin Ping from Blue Star, Yunxia Kingdom, was hiding with his father in a government-built air raid shelter, watching the news broadcast on TV, waiting to learn about the next episode. You are Yin Ping, a high school graduate from Ningnan High School, right? A group of soldiers approached the crowd and found Yin Ping according to the photo. The sergeant asked. I am, do you have anything to do with me? Yin Ping looked bewildered. Is your university major in the study of extraterrestrial civilization at Haizhou University? Sergeant Chang didn't directly answer Yin Ping's question and asked himself. Yes, can I help you? Yin Ping continued. That's right, come with us. The sergeant didn't say much and only asked Yin Ping to leave with him. What are you looking for me for? I'm not going anywhere with my father. Yin Ping felt scared and angry at the sudden and unfounded request. Are you Yin Fongjun? Seeing Yin Ping's refusal, the sergeant began to ask about Yin Ping's father. Yes. Yes, Yin Ping's father felt a moment of confusion. I participated in the Yunxia military operation in 2041, retired a year later, and achieved first-class merit, right? Sergeant Chang asked seriously, and this information was the first time Yin Ping heard it. He had always thought that his father was a useless person full of vulgar words. Yes, Yin Ping's father, Yin Fongjun, looked resolute. What? Old man, have you joined the army? Yin Ping was shocked. Captain, pay tribute to you. Sergeant stood up and saluted Yin Fongjun solemnly. Yin Fongjun suddenly stopped and responded with military salute. Old platoon leader. Did this useless old man at home even become a platoon leader? Yin Ping was even more surprised. Then why did he retire? Isn't he good in the army? Yin Ping was full of questions, but did not ask. I hope you understand that according to national regulations, researchers from both mainland and foreign civilizations across the country are now being recruited to participate in the national Breaking Star Plan. Your son's university major is in the study of extraterrestrial civilizations, and from his usual performance, he has a certain understanding of the Teana civilization. The country urgently needs such talents. Please support him. The sergeant finally expressed his intention. Understand, son, go ahead. Yin Fongjun didn't hesitate and looked at Yin Ping with firm eyes. This. Dad, you. Yin Ping looked at Yin Fongjun with some reluctance. In addition, here is a recruitment order for you to sign. As a retired fighter with rich military experience, please quickly return to your retired company and receive short-term training in case the country needs it. You have some flight experience, and we suggest that you participate in the training of the National Flight Formation. We now need to invite veterans like you. The sergeant took out an electronic recruitment order from his pocket and pointed out the signing location to Yin Fongjun. Wait, my father is already in his 40s. Do you still want him to go to war? Are you flying a plane? Are you all sick? Yin Ping's anger suddenly rose, and he had been relying on his father since childhood. Although his father usually looks like a useless person, he still couldn't bear such a decision. Warning, warning, the first flight formation of Typhoon 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 Typhoon. I obey national orders, but please give me 2 minutes to say goodbye to my son, Yin Fongjun said with a serious expression and a determined expression in his eyes. Okay, the sergeant ordered the soldiers to move forward, leaving behind a lonely father and son in a dim corner. Dad. Everything came so suddenly, and Yin Ping could only utter one word, unable to continue. Son, listen to me. Your father used to be a pilot of the Nightingale Squadron for air defense on the southern border of Yunxia Kingdom, and carried out military operations to protect the Yunxia border. Before Yin Fongjun could finish speaking, Yin Ping was already in tears. I know that it was the largest aerial territorial dispute since the founding of Yunxia Kingdom. We exchanged the loss of over 20,000 fighter jets for permanent aerial peace. Yin Ping couldn't have been unaware of this history. Your mother's sister was also one of the pilots who sacrificed her life. After giving birth to you, your mother couldn't escape the sadness of losing her sister. She went crazy and ran away from home. When I found her again, she had already been reduced to ashes along with a dilapidated building. It is said that it was intentionally done by a special agent from Lanya, one of the defeated countries, who infiltrated Yunxia Kingdom. Therefore, I left the army, hid my identity, and lived quietly in this small city. I just didn't want you to enter their sight and be involved in endless wars. It was only after 18 years that Yin Fangjun revealed the true cause of Yin Ping's mother's death. These beasts. Yin Ping stopped sobbing and began to grit his teeth, cursing. Yu reading www.yuyukeungshu.net. He didn't have much hatred towards Lanya Kingdom, but after understanding these things, he gradually realized their feud with Lanya Kingdom. Son, it may be fate that you were requisitioned by the government this time. Let's open up the situation a bit. In the future, we may participate in the interstellar war to defend our homeland, which is no longer a simple contact between countries on the blue star. You need to work hard, don't worry about your father. One day, if your father returns to the battlefield again, every missile launched by the fighter jet is to ensure that you can continue to survive on the blue star in health and safety. Yin Fangjun said, pushed away Yin Ping, stood up, and saluted a standard military salute. Sergeant. He changed his previous soft words and regained his former heroic demeanor. Here, the sergeant, who was still waiting outside, quickly replied. Please take Yin Ping to the training base, I will immediately return to my army. Yin Fangjun opened his suitcase and took out the military uniform he had not worn in 18 years, quickly finishing his attire. Salute, everyone is bowing to him in unison. Yin Ping then realized that his father, who was useless, looked so handsome in this military uniform, and his chest was adorned with countless badges, each shining brightly. It seemed that it was not as simple as a first-class merit. Son, go. He took out his father's kind face for the last time and comforted his son. After his son walked out of the air raid shelter and got into the car, his troops had already sent cars to pick up all the veterans in the shelter. The veterans were all dressed in military uniforms from 18 years ago and orderly got into the military vehicle. Yin Ping finally realized that there were so many retired veterans in this small slum. At the end of the crowd, there was a familiar face, which was Li Ying's father. With only the last 2 hours left until the appearance of the typhoon's flying formation in the atmosphere of the blue star, no one knew what was about to happen. Chapter 5. Geocentric City. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The convoy rushed out of the city at a speed similar to that of a mountain and arrived at a narrow ditch. After entering a pitch-black tunnel, the entire convoy entered a state of constant speed. At this moment, in the dim light flashing, Yin Ping suddenly found his Chinese teacher Zhai Jiyu in the same carriage, who was wearing glasses and also looking at him. What's surprising? I'm not happy to see your teacher, right? Zhai Jiyu pushed his glasses and asked. A feeling of encountering old friends in a foreign land instantly filled his mind. Lao Zhai, why are you here? Yin Pingming asked knowingly, just like you, it has been requisitioned. This car of people should be in this situation. Zhai Jiyu remained sober on Earth. I can almost count on the day when people no longer value extraterrestrial civilizations, and it will be a matter of time before aliens invade Blue Star. But I didn't expect to encounter them in my lifetime, said Zhai Jiyu. I thought I was just a hobby, but I never thought I could use it to save my life. In the carriage, a middle-aged young man also joined the chat team. Yeah, it's just talk after dinner, I didn't expect to participate in the national plan. Another person agreed, and no one expected that this unintentional move could bring job opportunities to everyone. The car gradually drove out of the passage and arrived at a larger platform. Everyone got off one after another and gathered in an orderly and dimly lit square. According to the division of labor among the teams, Yin Ping and Zhai Jiyu were assigned to the research team of the Teana civilization. The teams arranged in sequence with them include the Paleontological Research Team, the Ancient Script Language Research Team, the Alchemist Language Research Team, and various strange teams. The queue was neatly arranged, and everyone entered different elevators according to regulations according to different contents, preparing to go down. In the busy crowd, Yin Ping accidentally saw Li Ying in the distant paleontological team and said, why is Li Ying also here? Yin Ping Dao, it should be the reason for choosing a major in university, she studies archaeology. Zhai Jiyu continued to remain sober on Earth, so, most of the people here are college students and prospective college students who are about to enter university. Yin Ping was surprised to find that young people accounted for the majority in the entire square. The elderly are all going to war, you stay to conduct research. If you succeed, the elderly will not die in vain. If you fail, at least you can leave behind the spark of humanity. Zhai Jiyu said, still looking clear-headed on Earth, as if he knew everything at his fingertips. How do you know? Yin Ping went inside without knowing. Read more science fiction novels. This logic is usually the only one that can continue the human spark. If you guessed correctly, our elevator should go to a deep underground research institute, because the Teana spacecraft will definitely destroy our ground facilities, which is the most basic logic of warfare. Zhai Jiyu said with great certainty. At this point, Yin Ping had to believe that as the elevator began to gradually close and descend at a constant speed, the warm scenes of the previous few days were replayed over and over again in his mind. Father, Li Ying, and high school classmates were together, fighting and making noise, and all the scenes rushed in like dreams. In the gradually quiet elevator, he heard the mournful cries of some people around him who were his age. No one knows what the end of the elevator is, but everyone knows that perhaps, when they step out of this elevator, they will be separated from their family by yin and yang. After about an hour of touching, the glass porthole in front of the elevator gradually lit up. At first, it was a little brighter than before. Through the porthole, people were surprised to find that they had arrived at a huge underground city deep underground. The lights illuminate the entire city from the city center, which is comparable in size to the city where Yin Ping lives. Oh my goodness, when did Yunxia Kingdom start building such a grand underground city? Zhai Jiyu was surprised, even he couldn't imagine. All personnel, please quickly get off the elevator, reach the designated location, and start distributing basic daily necessities and daily quota items. The elevator urged everyone. It's like a science fiction drama, my mom, sighed one of the young men who was about 18 years old. A slap in the face came from behind the head, and a serious officer said, entering the dungeon, everyone is not allowed to make noise. Perhaps any careless move by you will bring unnecessary disasters. The young man, who was shocked and amazed, finally calmed down. Ladies and gentlemen, I am your daily management instructor, Ning Weiwei. Starting from today, all of your actions, including your thinking, must be honest with me. I know that you are very concerned about the situation on the ground, and we will announce it to everyone once a day. Maybe nothing will happen, maybe everything will happen. But at least. Instructor Ning Weiwei looked at his watch and continued, within 3 hours of your arrival in the elevator, the Teana alien spacecraft had already entered our atmosphere. Currently, 11 of them have entered the airspace of our country of Yunxia and are all flying towards the capital city of Yuntu. They are organized and planned high-tech aggressors, while we are almost powerless novices. As you can see, this is an underground defensive city built by Yunxia since the beginning of this century. It is located at a depth of 2,000 meters underground, with complete facilities and orderly supply. If we lose contact with the ground liaison station in the next 3 months, it will mean that you are the last group of people of Yunxia. Okay, that's all for my speech. Today, allow you to ask 3 questions. The instructor's serious expression left a deep impression on Yin Ping. Seeing everyone dumbfounded and silent, the instructor Ning said. Lastly, I would like to remind everyone that you can ask 3 questions today, but after today, you cannot ask any more questions. Please hurry up. People looked at each other, and one of them raised his hand and said, May I ask how many underground cities like this are in China, and where are they? Only a fool would ask such brainless questions, Yin Ping said in his heart. You too, take him away and do the right thing. Ning Weiwei stunned everyone with one sentence. Why? The person looked dissatisfied. Ning only took out an electronic resume. Li Xiutian, male, 18 years old, his father is a government worker in Yuzhong City, Qinghai Province, Yunxia Province, and his mother is from Lanya country, a spy who infiltrated our country. You ask this question not for yourself, but for your Lanya country father. So what, I'm going to die anyway. You tell me to make me understand. Li Xiutian stormed with a fierce force. Oh, how persistent are you? Come on, bring the person over. The soldier picked up Li Xiutian and came to Ning Weidao. So where exactly is your monitor installed? Ning only raised Li Xiutian's mouth with her hand and scrutinized her face. If you want to kill or cut me, give me pleasure. If you want to say it, just say it. Don't torture me like that, Li Xiutian continued to urge. With it, Ning only signaled to the person next to him to bring a bottle opener-like device. I'll let you and the masters behind you understand, listen to me damn well. Ning only gestured for the soldiers to come and hold down Li Xiutian. There's more than one underground city like this, Yunxia. Just as he finished speaking, the equipment was mounted on Li Xiutian's face, instantly absorbing a spherical remote photography sensor from his eyeball. Li Xiutian screamed in pain, and with just one shot, he died on the ground. TSK, at such a great age, Chinese people don't act like cloud spies. With that, he directly crushed the spy equipment. Ning only continued to pull out his pistol from his waist and asked, now you have 2 more questions, hurry up and ask. Everyone was frightened by Ning Weiwei's resolute gaze and remained silent. At this moment, Yin Ping raised his right hand, standing out in the crowd. Young man, you say. As usual, Ning only pointed a pistol at him, gesturing for him to speak. Why do we young people engage in research instead of participating in frontline battles, and have the elderly, weak, women, and children stand in front of us? Teana has existed for a long time, why not conduct extensive research and wait until now? What is the meaning of our presence here? Stop. Yin Ping was about to ask further, but Ning Wei immediately stopped drinking. You have too many questions, but I like your straightforward personality. Can you answer them? Ning only put away the gun in his hand and said, before the Teana spacecraft began air raiding the Lanya Kingdom formation on Ningyi Star, we only discovered the Teana civilization ruins with the body of a snake-headed dog at the bottom of Lake Kashang in southern Ningnan province. It should be consistent with the description of the sinking medicine factory of the Eastern powers in the Knight's diary. But through our research on the ruins, we found that their resources such as texts, customs, and reference materials have become conceptually unclear, and we don't know where to start looking for clues. But 2 things are certain. Firstly, the texts left by the village of Teana at the bottom of the lake contain various languages such as ancient Yunxia, ancient Yading, ancient Nyoguluo, and ancient Xie Riga. The living utensils and architectural styles left behind are also a collection of these civilizations. Therefore, we have retained all professionals in ancient civilization research to conduct research here. Secondly, on a village island monument that we have deciphered, we have found numerous prototypes of autobiographies, novels, and other themed works that have been passed down among the people of the Thean civilization. Therefore, we suspect that the authors of these works are either Theans or related to them. We hope that through you, we can contribute all our knowledge and piece together a basic summary of the Thean civilization. Let our military have a rough idea of the basic face of this unknown civilization. After all, it means that the military has discovered civilization and made every effort to conduct research, but due to limited research resources and strength, they are unable to accurately understand and master the Teana civilization. They do not even know what the enemy looks like, what weapons they are good at, and what do people from all blue stars use to fight against the Teana civilization. Here's another message. In the concentrated research starting tomorrow, experts from 36 countries that you will ally with Yunxia Kingdom, we call them experts here. In your eyes, they are so-called novel enthusiasts who work together to brainstorm and piece together the social structure of the Teana civilization. Only then did Yin Ping gradually understand why Lanya Kingdom initially put pressure on Yunxia, because their only proud secret aerospace unit has been completely annihilated in space, all the energy of Lanya country now must be to protect its homeland. As for the important task of maintaining peace with Blue Star and calling on Blue Star to jointly resist aggression, they cannot take on it. In order to cover up the situation and better concentrate their energy, they create public opinion and point the blame directly at Yunxia. That's really a good chess piece. After Ning explained all the content, Yin Ping and Zhai Jiyu had a teacher-student relationship. In order to help them quickly adapt to their work, the research group assigned them to the same apartment. Watching the artificial sun shining brightly in the sky and several small planes patrolling the surroundings, Yin Ping felt a bit homesick for his father. He didn't know the difference of these few hours, and how he was now. Urgent announcement, urgent announcement. After 4 hours of atmospheric search and control, the Teana flying squadron launched an attack on the capital city of Yunxia, at 5 p.m. The directly affiliated flying squadron of the garrison quickly engaged in the battle, destroying 10 of the Teana flying squadron spacecraft at a painful cost of 61 casualties and 22 injuries. One of them was shot down in battle with our air and space forces. Currently, the pilot on the enemy plane has been captured. Oh, it's indeed a snakehead and dog body, my goodness, Zhai Jiyu was surprised to see this news. It's exactly the same as in the novel, this brute. Zhai Jiyu was surprised by the appearance of the enemy, while Yin Ping was shocked by the comparison of the battle casualties between 61 destroyed and 22 wounded and 10 destroyed and 1 wounded in the local area. According to this ratio, how can we deal with their large-scale invasion? Yin Ping said calmly. And this calm and thoughtful remark was just noticed by the instructor at the testing center, Ning Jui. This kid will be a prodigy in the future, calmly analyzing problems, Ning said to his colleague next to him. At this moment, all the invading squadrons of the Teana flying formation around the world, except for those defeated in Yunxia and Lanya, had already achieved victory and ended. At this moment, they formed 2 invading formations of over 100 sorties, attacking Yunxia and Lanya respectively. Chapter 6. Research Institute. You are listening at novelfull.audio. On the second day of entering the dungeon, Yin Ping woke up to the sound of orderly warning horns, although he did not feel sleepy that night. Yesterday's battle report made him restless. He didn't know if there was his own father among the 61 destroyed aircraft, or if there was his own father among the 22 injured aircraft. For him, at this moment, even bold words couldn't enter his heart. He once longed for a better future, dreamed of becoming the leader in studying Teana or writing Teana novels, but now, he already hates the 3 words Teana to the bone. All stand up, Sergeant Commander ordered, and more than 50 people in the conference room of the Research Institute stood up in unison. The arrogant Ning Wei now became respectful in front of an elderly man wearing a deep red cloak with gray hair but still in a spirited state. Director, please sit down, Ning Wei agreed. Well, please take a seat, everyone. The old man with gray hair gestured for everyone to sit down. He looked at the foreign guests in the back row and asked. Didn't all 36 experts come? Why are there only 5? Report to the director, the planes of the 36 expert groups were all shot down by the Teana warship swimming in the air. This was just yesterday when 5 people were rescued from the crash site, and they parachuted early to survive. Ning only replied. Why is there still a child? The director asked. This child is the most knowledgeable and skilled among the 4 of them, Ning only added. That's good, the director didn't say much and turned to look at the crowd, raising his hand to signal. Please have the remaining 5 experts from the expert group of cooperating countries take their seats. After a while, the 5 young people, who looked like elementary school students, walked forward together and sat on the top 5 seats in the first row. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Wu Xiongquan, the director of this research institute. I just took office yesterday. In the following time, I will work with you to conduct a comprehensive study in decryption of the civilization of Teana. Based on the information we currently have, this species is extremely similar to the scattered and popular novel content in the folk. Please take a look. Director Wu turned around and saw a glass wall behind him. In the moment when Director Wu turned sideways, the blinds on the other side of the glass wall behind me opened, and inside was an operating table. Several doctors and nurses wearing isolation protective suits were nervously preparing for something. Lying on the operating table was a soldier wearing a mecha. Looking from his ankle, the moment the doctor took off his helmet, people were stunned. This is actually a Teana body, to be precise, it is still alive. We will conduct a live dissection in front of everyone. If you can't stand it, you can raise your hand and apply for avoidance, Director Wu said calmly. This should be the first captured Teana living creature on the entire Blue Star so far. Yes, the only local fighter pilot shot down yesterday in Yunxia City. We tried to communicate with each other in our language, but unfortunately, they couldn't understand our language, their pronunciation organs were different from ours, and they couldn't transform into adults. This is completely inconsistent with the content recorded in the knight's diary. Two ladies in the venue raised their hands to show avoidance, Director Wu nodded, and the two quickly got up and left. General, everything is ready, the military doctor reported in the glass room. The life and death certificates have all been signed, right? Director Wu asked. Yes, we voluntarily dedicate ourselves to the country. If there is an accident during the dissection, we will bear the consequences ourselves, the doctor replied. What about you? Director Wu continued to ask the people inside the glass room. It's enough to have the opportunity to dissect aliens during one's lifetime, everyone said in unison. This scene shocked Yin Ping and the others outside the deep glass wall. Okay, let's start. Director Wu made a firm decision and everyone returned to their respective positions, quickly starting to work. Strangely, the soldiers of Teana had basic arteries and blood vessels like humans, allowing doctors to quickly inject sedatives and hallucinogenic drugs into them. The first stage of dissection begins, separating the mecha from the body. The chief surgeon begins to explain while operating, and the nurses and doctors rush forward to inject something similar to a leavening agent into the gaps of the Teana soldier's armor, widening the distance between the mecha and the body. Everything is proceeding in an orderly manner, and all data indicators are steadily advancing, waiting for the mecha to automatically peel off the body when time comes. 11 minutes later, all values rapidly increased and a red alert was issued. The unconscious Teana soldier began to twitch and, stop the injection, the attending doctor said, report, it has been detected that there are only a few connection points between the body and the armor, and the body needs to consciously abandon the connection in order to achieve separation, said the testing doctor. This is mecha fusion technology, said the youngest child in the first row, and everyone's attention was focused on him. As expected, a hero emerged as a teenager. This child, who looks like a 9-year-old, is aware of a core extraterrestrial technology that no one has ever known about. Please explain, Xiao. Director Wu was about to address him, but he didn't know the other person's name. My name is Jessica, the child said in fluent Yunxia language. Mr. Jessica, please speak. Director Wu was very serious. This is a technology based on gene fusion and technological innovation in the Teana civilization. Each mecha has a speech recognition system, which is set to only serve one organism at the factory. To automatically detach the mecha, the owner of the mecha needs to ask it to detach from its original body in their own language. Hearing this, everyone was stunned, not to mention that he himself had caused it to detach. This guy didn't even have the possibility of waking up. The Dudu index continues to soar, and without injection, the mecha begins to naturally shake. Hold on, if the mecha feels threatened and does not receive a voice response from the owner within 3 hours, it will automatically explode, with a range of damage within a radius of 10 kilometers, Jessica said seriously. 10 kilometers. Then we're not all finished. Director Wu was shocked and slapped Ning's only face. What a bad idea. Conducting dissection experiments at the base, you bastard. Don't worry, we have a way to solve it, added Zhai Jiu, raising his hand. Teacher Zhai, please speak. This time, Director Wu saw the nameplate in front of Zhai Zhiyu's desk. Do we have any computer voice synthesis experts here? He asked. A dozen people behind raised their hands. Please hand over the live recording of the interrogation of this soldier from Teana, said Zhai Zhiyu. Although he was unsure, everyone had to follow suit and projected the footage onto the central glass screen. Please quickly open your computer and import these sounds. Use a language separation system to lock each sound into a regular pronunciation grammar system by extracting single syllables. Teacher, it will take more than 10 hours, and now there are only 2 hours and 40.5 minutes left. One of them raised their hand as the countdown to the final explosion time was on the big screen. All important facilities and personnel within a radius of 10 miles in the car. You guys, keep the usual manpower here, and I and the remaining people will stand behind. Director Wu laid out. I'm not leaving, I want to be with Teana, Yin Ping said as he saw the soldiers come to evacuate him. Perhaps I am still useful at critical moments, he replied. Zhai Zhiyu looked at his students and didn't say much. Director Wu, let my students stay. Good, Director Wu didn't say anything. Continue to analyze and calculate what results can be obtained in 1 hour, Zhai Zhiyu said to the remaining dozen or so analysts. Time passes by 1 second, and everyone is nervous. Everyone is repeatedly listening to the language of this prisoner of Teana, which is really frustrating. Due to the differences in pronunciation organs and language families, people can hardly find any features in its pronunciation language. Listening to each one seems both yes and no. Report to the director, everyone has evacuated, the sergeant on the walkie-talkie reported. Okay, it's up to you, Teacher Zhai. Zhai Zhiyu was also very helpless. He thought he could quickly analyze the situation, but he didn't expect time to come and he didn't have a clue yet. Everyone listen, is this correct? Asked a young man in the crowd analysis. Everyone leaned over to his computer and listened to the several sets of pronunciations he had cut and analyzed. Chikamoto is crying and trembling inside. The computer was playing this separately sliced and analyzed speech, and when people compared the language of the Teana soldiers in the video, there was a slight similarity but a noticeable difference. There's no way, the dead horse will be treated as a living horse doctor. Zhai Zhiyu began to ask Jessica, only to realize that the child was no longer in the field. Jessica, where has Jessica gone? Zhai Zhiyu panicked. I have arranged for him to go to the outskirts to avoid, and now he can communicate through intercom. Director Wu said, I'm here, Teacher Zhai, you talk, Jessica calmly answered on the intercom. As time approached, the countdown was 59 minutes. What is the pronunciation of the command to remove its armor? Zhai Zhiyu quickly asked, while preparing to play the analysis speech for Jessica to listen to. I don't know, it's not written in the book, it's just mentioned that it has this function. Jessica said calmly. What? Not only Zhai Zhiyu, but also Director Wu and the rest of the group asked with a puzzled expression. Indeed, I haven't written about it. I only read about this feature, which was mentioned in a storybook about the Teana War. I thought it was magical at the time, but it came to a close. Jessica's answer made everyone suddenly realize that he was really just a child and didn't consider any responsibility for what he said. At this moment, the armor of the Teana soldiers gradually changed color, from black to red. No, the armor has changed color, said the doctor in the glass room. Did it turn red, right? Jessica asked. Yes, Director Wu replied. That's only the last hour left. I suggest you synthesize the soldier's speech based on the existing analysis of words and phrases to try it out. What method is this? It's really a joke, but when the arrow is on the string, it has to be fired, which is currently the only way to try it. After arranging and combining them in a row, there are also hundreds of language combinations for the words. Kikamoto cries, na tiao, arranged according to the number of words, leaving us less than 50 minutes. It is impossible to try each group again because synthesizing speech takes time, and there is no other way. Time is not waiting. Director Wu had to command the research team to work quickly. After about 20 minutes, the three groups of basically audible speech synthesis were completed. Compared to the soldier's pronunciation in the original video, it is exactly the same. They are. I'm crying in the morning. Dukamoto Yasudo, hurry up and try, Director Wu immediately ordered, and the situation was very critical because it was already 20.5 minutes. If this group fails, it means they will have to wait another 20 minutes to produce the next group, and they only have 20 minutes left to wait. Quickly, the system inputted 3 sets of voice and played them 3 times in the anatomy room without any response. This makes people doubt whether the direction they are researching is really useful. When the last sentence, Yasudo, was played, the nurse noticed that the corners of the mecha warrior's mouth trembled slightly, seeming to indicate something. She raised her hand trembling and trembling. In turn, everyone, I just saw a detail, the nurse whispered softly. What? Director Wu looked nervous. At the last sentence, the mech warrior's mouth twitched and he wanted to say something, but he didn't say anything. The nurse said, at most, this can be considered a coincidence. Its medicinal effect is like this, and it's normal to have physiological reactions. The doctor didn't take it seriously, and Director Wu didn't take it seriously. Yu reading www.yuyukeangshu.net. No, Yin Ping immediately retorted, Teana expresses her emotions through mouth movements when facing threats or similar approaches. How did you know? Zhaijiu was surprised. The Little Man book, as I read in my childhood, is about the struggle of the Teana mecha warriors to become generals, and so on, mecha warriors. Yin Ping then remembered that in this Little Man book, there was a mention of the Teana mecha warriors taking off their damaged mecha and wearing new ones. What? Zhaijiu, Director Wu, the dissection team, and the analysis team all rushed to look at Yin Ping. Try these 5 words, ignore them and synthesize them using the pronunciation method we just analyzed. Quick. Yin Ping immediately emphasized. Although I wanted to ask for specific reasons, it's only 10 minutes left. Hurry up, Director Wu said, ordering the group to work quickly. After 5 minutes, the voice synthesis was completed. At this point, the first level alarm in the dissecting room has sounded, indicating that only the last 5 minutes are left for Teana to explode. Don't worry about it. While after the voice playback was completed, all the explosive red values quickly decreased, and the Teana warrior mecha quickly opened like an automatic unlock, revealing the weak and thin Teana person inside the mecha. This creature has a snake head and a dog body, a long neck, and a long letter in its mouth. Its body hair has evolved over the years, with only a hint of shallow hair. Originally, they were only carbon-based organisms. This thrilling attempt thoroughly proves that a large part of all the works related to the Thean civilization that have been passed down among the people should have come from the hands of the Teana people or those related to the Thean people. What is the purpose behind their meticulous way of telling the Blue Star people about Teana's secret? Chapter 7. Anatomy. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the transparent glass operating table, doctors and nurses who had just escaped from the crisis of the mecha countdown explosion began a new round of busyness. Outside the glass room, all the experts who quickly entered the venue from the isolation area were also staring intently at the entire dissection process. Due to the close bonding between the Teana human body and the mecha, and the presence of an orange mucosal substance between the two, even if the mecha automatically opens, it is not easy to completely remove the Teana from the mecha. Outside the glass room, some people take out paper and pen to test and record, which is a historic moment. The right arm mucosa is damaged, the right arm is locally damaged, and cutting is starting. I can only hear that the equipment in the room is running normally, and step by step is being carried out in an orderly manner. At this moment, I suggest that we continue to analyze their language in order to achieve better and faster communication. Zhaijiu seemed to remember something and said. Agree, don't even look at the analysis team, work quickly. Director Wu ordered, and the glass door was bustling with activity again. Oh, yes, Who is that? How do you know that pronunciation? It's really a little comic book. Director Wu still couldn't believe it. Yes, a children's book with a title unrelated to Teana. Interstellar Promotion. Yin Ping memorized all the books about Teana he had read. Who else has read it? Director Wu tried to find his companions, and everyone around him carefully watched the dissection process without saying a word. Okay, as no one responded, Director Wu alone called on Zhai Jiyu and Yin Ping to leave the dissecting room. Upon arriving at the partitioned office, Director Wu gestured for the two of them to sit down and said, "Based on today's situation, I suggest that you two and Jessica temporarily form an analysis group, dividing the 59 people in the venue into 3 groups to conduct an analysis of the Teana civilization." Based on the summary of your 3 teams, Director Wu arranged a comprehensive comparison of the overall appearance of the Teana civilization. Are you completely uninterested in the lively dissection inside? After all, it's the first time you've had direct contact with the Teana person. Yin Ping noticed that Director Wu's heart was unusually calm. This was not the reaction that a person who had seen aliens for the first time should have, unless he hadn't seen the anatomy of the Teana person for the first time, and that's all he could explain. This is the first time for you, not for me. Director Wu indeed has a story. As expected by Yin Ping, this spirited old man with gray hair should have studied Teana for a while now. But he knows a lot about Teana, why bother calling these people who are not experts at all? Oh, Director Wu seems to have a wide understanding, Yin Ping deliberately said. It's not that we have extensive knowledge. When we discovered the Teana site at the bottom of the lake, we caught one that was hiding behind a high wall. It could transform into a human form, but after we caught it, for some reason, it couldn't transform or make a sound. There were also no technological meshs, so dissecting it would be even smoother. We suspect that catching this one today should be different from that one in terms of technology. Director Wu pondered. However, there's one thing worth acknowledging, he said as he took down the hand he had just put at the corner of his mouth. They are all carbon-based organisms that can be killed, but with high-tech packaging, they are just a bit stronger, Director Wu affirmed. So, this star destruction plan aims to identify their weaknesses, analyze the power gap, and ultimately defeat them. Yin Ping quickly asked. Yes, that's right. The high-level officials and military of Yunxia always believe that there are laws to be found in everything. In this process, we are nothing more than searching for laws, finding laws, understanding laws, grasping laws, controlling laws, and cracking laws. Therefore, since they are carbon-based organisms, just like us, as long as we understand their origins, weaknesses, and gaps, we only need to spend a certain amount of time. As long as we persist until the end, victory belongs to us. Doodle doodle, emergency broadcast, TV information emergency broadcast sounded. 5 of the 36 cooperative countries in Yunxia that have signed a contract to resist the Teana civilization have completely destroyed their aviation systems by the Teana fighter jets, and their airspace has been controlled by Teana. They are respectively Zilida, Lingsali, Kurskit, Jibalsit, and Yinlisko. We hope that the people of the 5 countries will pay attention to their own safety and do basic defense, while the other 31 countries should continue to work hard to maintain airspace security. According to reports, the so-called alliance system in Lanya has become loose due to their own interests and uneven division of labor. Currently, some of the contracted countries have introduced their own defense measures, and the alliance is about to collapse. It's really a chaotic world, and loose interest groups will inevitably dissolve, Zhai Jiyu sneered. But how long can we persist in their division like this? Actually, everyone should work together. Yin Ping said, that's why we are still working hard to study at this moment. If we don't find their weaknesses and eliminate their threats, Blue Star will never have peace. Director Wu was right. Okay, let's do what you said, Jessica said before speaking. Report to General, the autopsy of the captured prisoner Teana has been completed and we are waiting for you to understand the situation. A message came through the walkie-talkie. Received. Come over immediately. Director Wu led everyone to the conference room, inside the glass room, and the doctor began to give a report. After preliminary dissection and sample analysis, we have concluded that this living organism, Teana, is a carbon-based organism. Apart from being wrapped in a sturdy mecha outside, its body is just as fragile as ours. They also have the same respiratory system, digestive system, neural control system, and heart as humans. They are located in the central positions of the brain and spine, and have an excretory system. They also rely on eating to complete basic energy supplementation. The difference is that their feeding system is slightly different from ours. They rely on pre-made fast food to eat, and there are no teeth or other mouthparts that cut food in their mouth and nose. They all rely on equipment to make food in advance before consumption. From the ingredients extracted from the stomach, the main components of their food are as follows. Humans are similar in that they also have substances such as amino acids and proteins. It is not an exaggeration to say that they are no different from humans in terms of basic structure and exclusivity. It is worth noting that their respiratory system will self-regulate according to changes in the environment, transforming themselves into a state where they can breathe freely under any conditions. As long as there are various respiratory elements such as hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen in the environment, they can self-regulate, which is a powerful respiratory function that we humans cannot compare. The doctor quickly gave the anatomical results. How can they be completely killed? Director Wu was straightforward. To completely kill it, we need to eliminate both hearts at the same time. Currently, we have abolished the heart in its spine, but the lower body has lost control, while the upper body is still alive due to the control of the heart in the brain. The doctor replied. Where is his brain? Where is it? Director Wu asked in confusion. They don't have brains, the doctor said. What? Director Wu and everyone in the room were directly shocked. How could it be without a brain? Without a brain, how can they think about how to complete tasks? Director Wu was furious. According to common sense, the fact that Teana had 2 hearts has not appeared in all the materials I have read, which surprised me, Jessica said. However, their brainless records were slightly heard. No, they are not brainless. They have strict hierarchical divisions within themselves, and only those with specific achievements and positions will have thinking nerves. Ordinary soldiers have been removed from this part, added Jai Jiu. I've only heard of it for the first time. Yin Ping was a bit puzzled, but he remembered the childhood little book, which clearly recorded that Teana was a beehive-made existence and had been intentionally cultivated since childhood. When they reached the age of 12 and were able to use weapons, they would donate their divine scripture control element, store it in a jar with a designated name, and keep it at the headquarters. Only by achieving corresponding military achievements can they retrieve their nerve control element. It seems that there are many good things in Little Man's book. These are ordinary soldiers, they are not qualified to use their brains. They only accept tasks from the command center and need to achieve certain results before they can have their own brains, Yin Ping said loudly. Young man, you're getting more and more confusing for me. How do you know so much? Jai Jiu looked at Yin Ping with a new look, as if all the knowledge he knew about Teana was just superficial. No, what you know can be pieced together to create the entire ecosystem of Teia, but what I know is just a few edges and corners, Yin Ping replied. It's only what we all know that we can piece together the ecosystem of Teia, not just me, added Jai Jiu. Alright, it seems that we have obtained very important information from this dissection. This person is basically no different from us and will also die, but they have the protection of mechs and will not die so quickly. Director Wu was proud and full of fighting spirit against outsiders. This elderly man with gray hair is not as fragile as his peers, but rather has the vitality and perseverance of many young people. Quickly, report to the headquarters. The basic information after the autopsy of Teana will facilitate the reasonable arrangement and defense of the various armies. The first round of their cleaning operation has begun, and next, We should start air breakthroughs from the neighboring agreement countries one by one, with the aim of making us a lone army. Director Wu said to the soldiers beside him, and the soldiers had to quickly return to their work positions to start reporting. Ladies and gentlemen, please sit down. I have announced a personnel arrangement. From now on, it seems that you will be divided into 3 teams, each consisting of Jessica from Yunlisco. I'm sorry, brother. Your national airspace has been occupied by Tetsuna, and I'm afraid you won't be able to return home. Director Wu apologized. It's okay, Director, I can't blame you either. Jessica was feeling low. I hope you can pick yourself up next and let's take care of these aliens together, said Wu Soa Chang'an with comfort. Well, definitely. Jessica said firmly. Okay, there's also this Zhai Jiu, a Chinese language teacher from a middle school, who has rich knowledge and ability to summarize and calculate. Also, as you may have just seen, Yin Ping always provides necessary information to help us solve problems at critical moments. He should have strong information acquisition and critical information analysis abilities. Next, you will form an effective and reasonable team based on your own understanding, and join the 3 team leaders to start working. Everyone began to form 3 teams according to their own abilities and specialties. Director Wu ordered the soldiers to quickly organize the conference room into 3 relatively independent and interconnected office areas, install different analysis equipment, and carry out work. Soon, various piecemeal analysis work on the Teana civilization began. Chapter 8. The Blue Star Man's Tetsuna World. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. At the moment when Yin Ping, Zhai Jiu, and others were comprehensively analyzing the Teana civilization, various countries on the ground of Blue Star were facing a crazy attack by the Teana space fleet entering the atmosphere of Blue Star. They were specifically targeting the air and space forces of various countries on Blue Star for a decisive battle. That's right, you heard it right, it was a decisive battle, playing your life to carry out full-scale air combat against each country. From a situational perspective, there is a posture where plundering airspace is equivalent to occupying the entire territory. The underground city located thousands of meters away was unaware of this news. Dodge, fast, the enemy is catching up. On the southern border of Yunxia Kingdom, the Teana fighter jet once again entered the airspace to harass. This time, the enemy's formation was led by Yin Fangjuan's Falcon Squadron, which was a 40-something-year-old veteran pilot. The enemy's 15 fighter jets were coming with a fierce force, and there were only 20 fighter jets in the confrontation between Yunxia and the country. The Teana people didn't even care about the number of Yunxia's fighter jets, but instead drove straight into a small country's flying formation that they thought was still a complete defeat. They didn't know they had received a hard time. They flew on point 1 towards the Yunxia kingdom, recklessly slowing down their flight speed and turning their bodies to perform in the air. They thought they would see the planes escaping on their own, but unexpectedly, a few shuttle missiles hit, and they managed to knock down the killed Teana fighter planes from 15 to 5. The 10 arrogant Teana fighter pilots died without knowing who had shot them. They turned into colorful fireworks in the sky and bloomed freely during the day. The remaining 5 aircraft will undergo decapitation operation, fast. Before the enemy's flying formation captain could react, Yin Fangjun quickly issued an order, and behind him, 5 fighter planes leapt up, using Mach 6 to reach the green-headed aircraft among the remaining 5 fighter planes. The Teana flying formation has a fatal weakness. To reflect identity differences, the main aircraft usually use a green fuselage, while the rest are gray, making it very easy to identify. The green-headed fighter quickly turned around and prepared to flee, but it never thought that in their eyes, all the planes they had experienced along the way were so outdated models. It was as easy for them to defeat those backward planes of small countries as it was to smash the Sandman with a stone. However, Yunxia country independently developed and equipped the 20th generation stealth fighter that Blue Star was the first to enter, with a maximum speed of 15 Mach per hour, which is the limit of Blue Star. And their generation of fighter jets had a maximum speed of only 14 Mach per hour, which was too late. At the moment when the green organic turned the fuselage, he was locked in by Yin Ping's laser weapon. In just an instant, the pilot noticed that the beam of light reflected into his eyes and was completely blasted into debris. How would the pilots of the green-headed fighter Teana know that the 20-member Cloud Xia country flying formation they encountered was the strongest formation of the newly launched Blue Star? The remaining 4 fighter jets had no resistance and quickly disintegrated in the air, with no signal transmitted back to the mothership of Teana. They will come back sooner or later, they will discover us, and send more advanced fighter planes to fight, said an old pilot in the walkie-talkie. Hey, can we defend for a while? Yin Ping replied helplessly. He knew that they were just their vanguard, along with the Teana flying squadron that was shot and killed over Yunxia city last time. According to the way of playing chess, they usually took pictures of poorly equipped and weaker soldiers to explore the way. We encountered such equipment on our first encounter with the enemy, and we will definitely fight a bad war next, Yin Ping said to all the old pilots in the flying formation. He knew that the country had already delivered them the best aerial fighter planes, and they had no idea what weapons Teana would have next. From the perspective of power confrontation, this wave of enemies is just underestimating the enemy, but their equipment is not inferior to their own. If they are facing a group of experienced and cunning opponents, it is not certain who will lose or win today. On the way back from the plane, he looked at the vast mountains, lost in thought. Old Yin, do you think there will be your son and my daughter in which mountain below? The pilot who asked was Li Ying's father. I don't know, it's better not to know. With so much knowledge, neither you nor I can focus on fighting for our children, Yin Ping replied. Yes, Li Ying's father agreed. After retiring, they both hid from each other and unexpectedly met this time. The plane passed over a large mountain, and at a depth of 2,000 meters underground, Yin Ping's research team has been analyzing the Teana civilization for a whole week. Based on the current information we have, the Teana civilization visited the Blue Star about 2,000 years ago, leaving behind some people who later left the planet again. Some of these people exist as gods, such as the God of Power, in the ancient Yinli civilization, Sko, and the God of Faith, in the Yunxia civilization, and the God of Heaven and Earth, and the God of Man creation, in the Yunxia civilization. Later, due to the weakening of their divine power, some of them exist in the form of heroes among humans, such as the founding Emperor Ellis among the English, the founder of the Indian state religion, Sharp Wallace, and the ancient founder of the Yunxia civilization. Di Wu, the master of water management, gradually weakened his abilities, and could only continue his genes through internal inheritance. After 3 generations, he had no offspring, and his body was limited by a maximum lifespan of 200 years. This civilization gradually integrated into the Blue Star human civilization and began to dissipate, explained Yin Ping, but there's one thing we doubt. Yin Ping said. These are the information deliberately told to us by the Theans or later generations. It remains to be debated whether their specific civilization is like this. Their purpose in creating these stories is to make us believe that 2,000 years later, it is almost impossible for the Theans to exist on the Blue Star today. But why did they invade us again? When the lake ruins were excavated, why did Director Wu discover the living Theans near the lake ruins before they invaded? Is there a single Blue Star and calling for help from them? Yin Ping's question sparked a lot of discussion among everyone. This is indeed a thought-provoking problem, and if it does, the problem becomes more serious. It's too scary if we all have spies inside us. There's one more question, Jessica raised her hand, the Knight's Diary. This is a true work that describes Teana from a non-Teana perspective, not a novel. It tells the story that Teana can mimic human images on her own, but we cannot capture and dissect the captured Teana prisoners. Why is this? When Jessica's question arose, Director Wu spread his hands out, unsure of what action to take. Have you ever watched Spy on Alien Friends Who Have Not Met Before? Said a young man with glasses who had not spoken for the past few days, using his underdeveloped vocal cords. I've read it. Zhai Jiyu raised his hand and gestured, "This is a very obscure book. It tells the story of an autistic patient named Komatsu who accidentally opens a door covered in moss and inside, there is a unique cave. It turns out to be an abandoned spaceship, where he meets his extraterrestrial friends and also tells the story of a lonely extraterrestrial. But he didn't mention throughout the text that this is a Teana. But at the end of the chapter, it was said that when an extraterrestrial friend faced Komatsu who was mocked by everyone as a madman, he met everyone with the appearance of a human and drank a bottle of mysterious potion from a certain country in the east in front of everyone, transforming into its original appearance of being neither human nor dog. In the panic and fear of everyone, Komatsu was chopped into meat and mud by knives. Komatsu had been blind for 3 days due to excessive sadness, and he still didn't know its image. I carried it correctly. The little boy asked. Not a bad word. Zhai Jiyu replied, he's really a prodigy. He couldn't help but praise it. To be honest, I was requisitioned here right after reading this book. The child touched his head, feeling a bit embarrassed. That is to say, the conversion potion mentioned in the knight's diary, which was not written with information provided by the Teana people, and the new book that may have been edited with information provided by the Teana people, both mention the conversion potion. The conversion potion mentioned in the knight's diary comes from a mysterious mountain valley in the eastern Great Country. Due to an earthquake that disappeared in the martial arts world, they had to face extinction when their potion was exhausted. The Teana person captured by the director of the martial arts at the site should be the Blue Star Teana indigenous who could not return to human form after the potion was exhausted. Zhai Jiyu said. It's highly likely that he will speak our language, but his pronunciation is just unpleasant, said Director Wu. That's right, he won't be able to return to his human appearance when the potion expires, but human memory still exists. It's just that the pronunciation has changed and he can't produce accurate human voices, Yin Ping said. This phenomenon has also been mentioned in The Unforgettable Past, Jessica said. It is a niche book about extraterrestrial civilization, which tells the story from the perspective of an alien. He came to a foreign planet and met a beautiful lover, but the remaining conversion potion of the spaceship was exhausted. He had to fly back to his home planet to retrieve the potion. Unexpectedly, his home planet was invaded by the powerful Teana civilization, and his wormhole was damaged. He could not return to that beautiful planet and had to join the escape team. In the end, he died alone. Why haven't we ever heard of this book? Zhai Jiyu and Yin Ping said in unison, Yu reading books www.yuyukeangshu.net. The book, which was only released this year, only went to war after a few days in our country. The final warning of the book is: if given the opportunity, I will definitely return to that beautiful planet. I hope it will be me 2 times a person instead of carrying cold troops. Jessica said. Wait, do you still have this book with you? Director Wu seemed to realize something. Yes, I only have the last book in my bag, Jessica said. Take it out and take a look. Director Wu was very worried. Jessica, hurry up. Director Wu urged. Jessica immediately took out the brand new book and everyone quickly flipped through it. Check if there is an electronic version of this book in the Blue Star Library. Zhai Jiyu ordered his team. No, this is illegal printed material. We did not obtain the printing number or access the internet, the team replied. Where did you buy it? Zhai Jiyu asked. It must be a roadside stall, Yin Ping said calmly. That kind of stall has everything. He continued, yes, at my doorstep stall, the owner is an acquaintance who knows I like the Teana civilization. He told me there is a new book on the path, so I bought it, Jessica said coldly. Oh no, Blue Star definitely has the indigenous people of Teana. Director Wu was shocked. From this story, it seems that they may still have battleships that have not been used in the Blue Star for many years, but we don't know where they are. The protagonist of the story himself passed through a long passage and entered an underground secret point before setting up a battleship to return to his home planet, and there was also Teana invading us. Perhaps their own planet was invaded or destroyed, and they were looking for a new habitat, and we were the ones they had chosen many years ago. Director Wu patted the table and said. The big deal is not good. Chapter 9. Battle of the Sky. You are listening at novelfull.audio. If the illegal books purchased by Jessica were written by the Teana people, and if the storyline is true, then the Teana people's invasion is inevitable. They are forced to invade the Blue Star and are determined to occupy it. The most frightening thing is that countries like Yunxia country and 36 contract country, which firmly resist, would have to pay a heavy price to win the war or they would not have won at all. If it ultimately fails, there will be no more humans on the Blue Star. Oh no, countries like Lanya may choose to surrender because countries that prioritize interests have never had much dignity to speak of, while Yunxia is different. They place more emphasis on spiritual principles. There's another way, said Jai Jiu. What? The crowd asked. We can capture a few more prisoners and use their confessions, combined with the various alien languages currently collected, to have paleolinguists combine our last speech analysis method to piece together a basic translation of our pronunciation and the pronunciation of Neanderthal script. We can then interrogate the prisoners and obtain the results, said Jai Jiu. This is also a means to quickly understand their purpose. Of course, in order to make the interrogation smoother, we must continue to analyze and piece together the complete picture of the Thean civilization, so that we can be more competitive in the interrogation process. Nowadays, most of the prisoners are ordinary soldiers, some of whom even have no brains. If their thinking ability is limited, they will be better interrogated. This is actually a good solution, Director Wu agreed. While they are not fully aware of our strength yet, we still have time. Otherwise, if they finish understanding us and we know nothing about them, we will be too passive. So, all the work continued to be carried out intensively, and the originally small conference room was moved out in a corner. A group of experts in ancient script and language began to work in the group. In the team, Yin Ping saw a familiar figure. Li Ying. She has become much thinner these days, washing her face with tears every day. He never expected that she would be separated from her family. However, she has been pampered since childhood and has not yet adapted to such an unfamiliar environment. Yin Ping saw the familiar face, and Li Ying ran over with a rosy corner of her eye. She wanted to hug her, but when she saw everyone around her staring, she put away her hands again. What are you looking at? Let's continue working for a while. My high school classmate, I'm going out for a walk. You guys should hurry up. Yin Ping put on a posture, and everyone's eyes dispersed. They all said in unison, okay, Leader Yin. Yin Ping led Li Ying out of the conference room, initially very restrained. After leaving, Li Ying was surprised and said, in just a few days, you've become the team leader. What? It's not just extracurricular novels. We all rely on those novels to analyze extraterrestrial beings in the sky. Now everyone has a unified opinion, and most of those novels are written by extraterrestrial beings, intentionally conveying information. Yin Ping looked proud. All right now, as someone who doesn't like reading novels, I can only study ancient Chinese characters and even get started. Li Ying tugged at the corner of her clothes. It's already great. Look, is the artificial sun in the sky the same as the one on the ground? Yin Ping pointed to the floating light ball above the dungeon and asked. It's different. On the ground, I can see my parents every day. I don't know if they can still be here, and I don't know what's going on with them. Li Ying felt a little sad. Uncle should be pretty good, Yin Ping comforted. How do you know? Li Ying asked. Didn't you watch the news? Yesterday's Southern Flying Squad. Yin Ping asked. I see, Uncle became the team leader, 15.20, 0 casualties to eliminate the opponent. Uncle is so powerful. Li Ying forced a smile. So you didn't take it seriously, didn't you see that your father is also in the flying formation? Yin Ping didn't pay any attention to his father's ability, but instead remembered Li Ying's father. Ah. Where is it? Li Ying asked anxiously. I recorded the news, look at it. Yin Ping opened his ultra-thin electronic watch and activated the 3D media free projection function to play the video. In the battle scene of the news, he stayed in a scene where the pilot was fighting fiercely, and happened to see Li Ying's father's face flashing only for a second, saying, "Can you take a look? Really, it's my dad. He can even fly a plane, I don't even know." Li Ying didn't know her father's identity as a pilot until he entered the dungeon, but instead, Yin Ping was fortunate enough to see him. "Anyway, if my dad is okay, then your dad will be fine." "Well, I want to pray for my dad, hoping he will always be safe." Li Ying's displeased face lit up with a smile once again. "All right now, finally I have a familiar person. Every day, I wonder, what's the point of doing this to me? Now, thinking about it, I'm still too childish." Li Ying's personality suddenly became sad. "What are you afraid of? With your buddies around, I'll take a bite, you'll take a bite, I'm not afraid." Yin Ping was full of confidence, and he wanted to use this masculine aura to reassure her. "Huh, good buddy. Oh, by the way, I heard that teacher Zhai is also in your institution, right?" Li Ying continued. "Yes, he was also lucky enough to become a team leader as an alien fan." Clam. "Teacher Zhai is also the team leader. Are you all team leaders?" "No, Teacher Zhai is just knowledgeable. This time, he suggested that your ancient literature research group come over, because Teana has been around for a long time. There should be their secrets in ancient literature." "Oh, I was just wondering, so it's like this. I have to apologize to you. I've been saying before that what you're looking at is useless, so it seems that my understanding is wrong." Li Ying felt a bit embarrassed. "That was before, and I never thought the things in this book would jump out and hit us." "The things in the book, ahaha." "Ha ha ha." The two teenagers laughed happily on the bright balcony, which had not been seen here for many days. "Pay attention, there are laser cannons coming from the right wing, right wing." In the southern air, a new round of aerial battles has begun again, and the flying formation led by Yin Fangjun has once again encountered a new round of attacking troops from Teana. This time, the opponent dispatched a flying formation with practical combat experience, which has already eliminated the air forces of more than 10 countries and occupied the airspace. It is a very strong flying formation. 3 flying formations were also prepared side by side around Yin Fangjun's flying formation, each of which was a heroic unit that had experienced countless battles. At this moment, the Teana flying fleet has begun to pay attention to the air defense situation of Yunxia Kingdom due to the previous 2 disastrous defeats. One was their internal beheading operation against the capitals of various countries, resulting in the complete annihilation of the entire army over Yuntu City, the capital of Yunxia. The other was their contact with Yin Fangjun and other border defense air and space forces in the southern border of Yunxia. In 2 battles, the Teana flying fleet lost more than 6,000 aircraft in Yunxia alone. This time, after clearing the airspace of several neighboring countries, they began a concentrated attack operation and launched a concentrated attack on the 5 major countries, including Yunxia and Lanya. They launched simultaneous attacks on the southern border of Yunxia, the western border of Lanya, the southern border of Yin Fan, the northern border of Sultan, the western and southern borders of Australia and New Zealand. Each country deployed about 20,000 second-generation fighter jets to attack simultaneously, attempting to eliminate the air power of the Blue Star 5 powers in one fell swoop and gain absolute air superiority. The 5 major powers are simultaneously facing synchronized air threats, and unlike any previous battle, there is no way to obtain offensive intelligence from the other side, just like a blind person facing a battle, which is very passive. At the beginning, the 5 major powers initially stationed their troops in the original airspace to respond, and there was no surplus force to quickly respond, making the situation extremely critical. Quickly, Sulit, Australia and New Zealand, and Lanya were unable to resist and showed signs of defeat. Yunxia, due to its strong air forces and reserves at almost every border, was also prepared for sudden attacks throughout the country. At the beginning of the battle, it handled the situation very well and not only did not lose, but also gained the initiative in the war. In the southern region of Yunxia, our air and space forces are basically chasing and attacking the enemy. Although the enemy is a second-generation fighter jet with slightly better speed, they still cannot take advantage of the Yunxia fighter jet, which has been through countless battles. One day later, the battle came to an end, and Sullivan and ANZ lost 1/3 of their airspace. Lanya's subsequent organization was able to regain air superiority, and Yin Fan's country also gained basic airspace through multiple efforts. On the same day, the mother ship of Teana separated a giant warship and sailed towards it like the Blue Star. Another wave of large aerial combat groups entered the atmosphere of the Blue Star and attacked the airspace of neighboring small countries, preparing to completely occupy the airspace of countries that had lost their aerial combat capabilities. This is the darkest moment of the battle so far. Military experts speculate that the Teana Legion's move is aimed at occupying some countries on our Blue Star, with a strong tendency to settle on the planet. Currently, countries with lost airspace defense capabilities are fully organizing ground attack and defense forces to prepare for battle. The Blue Star Defense Alliance led by Yunxia Kingdom also reached an agreement this morning. Except for the Free Defense Alliance of Lanya Kingdom which has not joined, other heads of state have already joined. Yunxia Kingdom Premier Lin Xinghong signed a defense alliance agreement to jointly form a powerful alliance group consisting of 136 countries. All countries will share all military technologies and deployment forces, and form a joint command center for air, space, and ground defense in Yunxia to jointly respond to this historic invasion moment. In the first month of data analysis, watching such heartbreaking information play on the big screen, Yin Ping and Li Ying both worried about their father and also worried about the fate of Blue Star. I don't know when it started, and everyone in the dungeon had a unified ambition and goal. In the following period, the ancient language research team quickly broke through and established a complete translation system from Yunxia language to Teana language. Starting from several Teana soldiers captured in recent battles, they basically obtained equivalent translation of information. I have a basic understanding of the purpose and intention of the Teana people. Since you abandoned Blue Star 3,000 years ago, why did you launch a sudden attack on Blue Star 3,000 years later today? In the interrogation room, Director Wu used a language translator to question the only commander of the Teana Air Force who had a brain captured so far. No comment. Through the language translator, the other party's attitude was very firm. As a lowly people like you, as long as I have weapons, pinching you is like pinching ants. In your world, I am a god-like existence. Little lowly people, how dare I ask God? In the translator, Commander Teana's words were piercing his heart. I'll go fuck you. Director Wu opened the glass door and walked forward. Pang 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 banged the other person's head 3 times. A group of people couldn't stop him, and in the end, the sergeant opened his mouth wide and turned his reaction. He walked over to the director of the military station and whispered, "General, this is the only Teana commander we have captured with a brain so far." ITM, Director Wu was impressed and glared angrily, saying,